And if that is true, and I assure you that it is, love your neighbor as yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. And when you look upon the face of your brother or sister, learn indeed to begin to look beyond the appearance of the body, and see naught but the face of Christ before you. For in your recognition of the one that stands before you, you must then acknowledge that it takes the eyes of Christ to recognize the face of Christ. Can you then begin to imagine where time began? It began with you. It began in your holy mind. And if time began there, it resides there. And the end of time is found nowhere but in you. Now, in these journeys, there have been a multitude of experiences, some pleasant, some painful, and they have slowly created for you a construct, a prism, if you will, through which you would view creation. And the process of awakening, the process of the atonement, the process of salvation truly requires not a striving, but an allowing, not a seeking, but a finding. And the process of atonement is the process whereby you remember the truth of your reality and celebrate with me the only fact that has ever truly been: I and my Father are one, now, here. Before, prior, and through all times, I remain the Son of God. The process of the atonement is the process of remembrance, of joining back together what has seemed fragmented. And what joins back together that which has been fragmented? Love. Love, a simple 4-letter word in your language, and a rather grand one. Indeed, only love heals. Only love overcomes separation. Only love restores the son to the kingdom of heaven. Only love. And why? Because love is what you are. That is why it is so important to remember that every loving thought is true, and everything else is but a cry for help and for healing, whether it is something that arises within you or within your brother or sister. Rest assured that every such cry truly is coming forth within you. Are you therefore your brother's keeper? Indeed you are, not out of moral sanction, but because it's the truth. You are your brother, and that is why salvation cannot be found apart from your neighbor. Gone is the time of disappearing into caves, hoping that by focusing your attention on your eyebrows, that somehow you will achieve a great and enlightened state. This time is the time of endings. There is indeed a great quickening going on in the consciousness of mankind, an acceleration of the process of remembrance, because mankind desires it. And salvation comes in relationship, for you cannot return into the kingdom by yourself. But as you extend yourself to your brother and sister and embrace them with the arms of the love of Christ that dwells within you, you will bring them to yourself, and together we walk to God. I have come forth in this hour to ask you, to all that will hear these words, to ask you to join with me now in wasting not another moment, but in setting aside the roar and din of the world, in setting aside your fears and your doubts, to begin the practice of claiming the truth of your only reality. I and my Father are one, and where I walk, my Father walks also. And where I am, there is naught but the presence of love. For I have learned how not to tolerate error in myself. And because I choose to be the presence of love, through me salvation is given unto this world. I have indeed come forth as your friend and as your brother, not as someone above you, and certainly never as someone apart from you. I have come to ask you to join with me in being the light that lights all worlds, in being that love that restores the union of Father and Son. And in that union, indeed, there will be a healing that shall be witnessed upon this plane, this physical world. Why? Time itself never needed to be created, but it was, and because you have chosen to perceive yourself as separate from God in time, you then remember your union with God. And time is given unto you only that you will use it constructively. And if you would dwell upon it for just a moment, if not in this moment, you would abide with me and contemplate this simple question. Surely the answer will not be hidden. Can there be any use of time that holds greater value than the practice of remembering that you are the Holy Son of God, that you are safe and in perfect union with Him always? Can there be any purpose to experience unless it be the practice of extending the love of Christ? Not to try to solve your problems, not to seek for the kingdom, but to acknowledge that you have found it. For lo, indeed, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Does this mean it's a something? It's a physical place that can be found within the body? No. It means that it is within the construct of yourself that you have become identified with. And as you choose to turn your attention from that construct to begin the practice of identifying with the truth of your reality, that light within you begins to outshine first your image of yourself, and then the image of your brother. And as that light extends outward, it outshines your ideas of what the world is, what it is for, where it has come from, and where it is going. Beloved and holy friends, think not that anything arises by accident. Your world would teach you that accidents abound, that there are coincidences. You just happen to run into a friend at a corner. Hardly. There are some of you that know perfectly well that just behind the appearance of things, there is indeed a grand orchestration taking place. And I have called that wisdom, that mind, that one who is the orchestrator, the Holy Spirit. The bridge that brings the son, dreaming the dream of separation, back into truth and reality. And the bridge is set before you, and it makes straight your path. And if you would receive it, every moment of your experience is a joyous blessing, for it will reveal unto you either the joy of union with God, or it will reveal to you the small corners that you are keeping for your illusion, that need light to be brought to them. Count then every experience as a blessing and give thanks for it, and your gratitude and your appreciation is what allows your light to outshine the world you have made in error. If light be your home, and if light be your truth, then surely light will outshine all worlds of limitation. The greatest of gifts that you can give to anyone is not to try to fix them, but to forgive them as you forgive yourself, and choose to be only the presence of light. And in that choice, because all minds are joined, you must necessarily be the one who uplifts your brother and your sister. Every time you choose to think a loving thought, every time you choose to look past circumstances and appearances, to see the face of Christ in your holy brother or sister, you are the power and the light and the truth that uplifts and heals the whole of creation. That is the power that is given unto you and has been with you since before time began. And because nothing arises by accident, it is not by accident that those of you that are here find yourself here. Out of curiosity, perhaps you have come. That is an appearance. Behind it, there is a place where all minds communicate. Some of you seem to be more aware of that than others. That doesn't matter, because in the end, there will be perfect knowledge.